Good evening. This is Daily Recall on March 19th, 2026. I'm Tom Stoukas, coming to you from Sarnia, Ontario. And again, on the news feed today, the main topic is Iran, of course. A lot of interesting developments today. Obviously, looks like it's going in the wrong direction. Obviously, I think it was already planned that way. We're just the last to know. And so, what was today? Netanyahu showed up. I don't know if it was him. It's weird. He was at a news conference and he said a bunch of weird things. Basically, he said, they need to do a ground invasion of Iran. So, that's horrible. And he didn't say that it was going to be Israel doing the ground invading, though. And then he said, something like, we have to be evil and vicious like Genghis Khan, not like Jesus was a loser, and we got to emulate Genghis Khan, which is the weirdest thing. I don't know why he would say that in the middle of a war when he needs like all these Christian voters in the States to support it. That's weird. And so the ground troop thing was a big thing because he said we're not going to be able to take down the mullahs without doing the ground invasions. And Trump's moving more troops there, so we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Then maybe they'll be successful, but like it's usually ground invasions require lots of troops and lots of casualties. But it's weird how Netanyahu can get into this press conference. Like the guy started a war. He's threatening the global economy, global energy security by blowing up gas fields and oil depots in major cities. And he just talks and nobody questions him. It's like he can do whatever he wants. And then he says, another thing he said, he's like, we didn't force Donald Trump into this war, or we didn't drag him into this. So lots of crazy stuff today, he said. But yeah, more troops going to the Middle East. I was just checking my gas prices here. And also on the Canadian side today on Twitter is the reaction to Pierre Poilievre's appearance on Joe Rogan. I said before it's irrelevant, really. He could go on. He did all right. Like he knows how to speak well. He's very good. And he said all the right things regarding the U.S., Canada, how we need to be friends again and all that. So, obviously, I don't think he made a bad impression on the U.S. audiences. But he came off as one of those typical, like, how the Americans portray Canadians in movies as like all these sweater-wearing nice guys smiling, like Ned Flanders almost. And he came off as like the cliche Canadian. He didn't talk about anything controversial. Like Joe Rogan's was talking about all this controversial. Like he was he's not the most controversial now, but when he was the top podcaster, especially like during COVID, he was like pushing the envelope. Maybe not so much anymore, but there was no edgy. It was just like a little banter. It was like a softball conversation, which is fine. But if you're a young person in Canada, like under 40, who's being sees every day they're being replaced, priced out of the market, priced out of cut out of jobs, advancement. You want to hear some real, plans to address that. Like, so, it was basic PR stuff. That seems to be the reaction today. It's like, yeah, he did all right, but he didn't appeal to like Canadian nationalists, the young Canadian nationalists that, are, looking for political leaders to address their concerns. So let's look at some of Pierre's stuff first, and then we'll go to the Iran business. Just a few clips from the show. Like I said, wasn't anything mind blowing. Also, what else did he? Some other notable moments. I don't think I have it on the clip, but Rogan was joking about Trudeau's father being Castro, and Pierre's like, no, it's not true. And so he's trying to be civil with, and then he said he won't criticize Carney from a foreign country. So whatever, they're saying, oh, he's so classy. That's fine. But on the meat and bones of like what's going on in Canada now, he's just the same as liberals, like literally the same. Like he talks about multiculturalism and how we're a nation of immigrants and we should let everybody into the country. So let's see. Here's Daniel Thierry. He says Poilievre's living in denial. Multiculturalism is tearing Canada apart. Let's see what he says. Yeah, I didn't like this one.
Jews, Christians, and Protestants and Catholics.
That's so Canadian. Yeah.
But,
That's so Canadian.
The great thing about Canada is we've always sorted our shit out peacefully. Like
he swore. Whoa.
Protestants and Catholics tore each other's eyeballs out in Europe for like hundreds of years, and then we came to Canada and we just got along. And that's the great thing about Canada is like you can come, Muslims and Jews, Christians,
there you go.
Protestants and Catholics, Hindus and Sikhs.
Got to put the Hindus in there.
They come to Canada and they just get along. They live on the same streets. Eventually, we all start intermarrying, and it's a great thing about Canada.
Yeah. So yeah, he basically.
That's so Canadian. Yeah.
But
I hate when they say
about Canada is we've always sorted our
this
shit out
cliche
peacefully.
Canadian stuff, and he looks exactly like the Hollywood movies of the cliche Canadian man, and he played right into it. But it's funny how he says that though. Into our neighborhoods, they're literally taking over neighborhoods. But we're all a big happy family here in Canada.
Like the Protestants and Catholics tore each other's eyeballs out in Europe for like hundreds of years.
And then another thing he talked about.
Canada and just got along.
Sorry.
And that's the great thing about Canada.
That's the great thing about Canada. We get along with all our Indians.
Become, Muslims and.
All right. So if you're a young voter who's worried about Canada getting flooded with the third world, which it is, then that's not going to sound good to you. From the opposition leader. Another thing he touched on was Alberta separation. So all the Alberta separatists are all geared up now to not vote Conservative, maybe. I don't know. Here's another reaction. Pierre's not our guy. He supports multiculturalism and the destruction of everything unique about Canadian heritage and identity. He's not on our side in any capacity. Don't be fooled. So yeah, like he's not going to get any votes from those young Canadian guys saying stuff like that.
And Sikhs, they come to Canada and they just get along. They live on the same streets.
We just get along.
Eventually, we all start intermarrying, and it's a great thing about Canada.
That's so Canadian. Yeah.
But the great thing.
That's so Canadian.
We've always sorted our shit out peacefully. Like the Protestants and Catholics.
You had to make sure you put
eyeballs out in Europe for like hundreds of years.
Put a little curse word there to look tough. All right. Here's a comment about his Alberta. He said something. I got the video here of him. When Pierre Poilievre gets it wrong, he really gets it wrong. He does it publicly on Joe Rogan podcast. His dismissive, condescending comment serves to fuel Alberta independence further. Boasting that he's an Albertan does not make his assertions more palatable. CPC Conservatives have done little to create unity in Canada. Stephen Harper even voted to maintain equalization that pillages money from Alberta to support Eastern Canada, primarily Quebec. Conservatives have never done anything to reform an electoral system that allows Ontario and Quebec to decide our elected government before the Western provinces have even finished voting. And now Conservatives can't even get elected, so that is awfully big talk, Pierre. So by all means, Pierre, keep it up. Albertans will be voting for independence.
Patriotic.
So here's what he said about...
They're great people, hardworking.
Some of the nicest people you ever
They
met.
are.
Oh, yeah. Well, there was talk about Alberta separating.
That won't happen.
What was that about?
It won't happen. Some people are frustrated, but they, there's some legitimate frustrations. But at the end of the day, Canada's going to be united. And Albertans, I'm born and raised Alberta, and Albertans are seriously patriotic Canadians.
Very patriotic.
Yeah, they're great people, hardworking.
Some of the nicest people you ever
They
run
are
across.
great
Some of the
people
nicest
in
people.
Alberta.
Hardy.
They're hardy
It's
people. That's
cold
it.
up there. They
It
know
is
how
cold.
to survive.
Exactly. You got to be tough to survive the cold in
Yeah.
Canada. Carve a country like we have out of that cold weather on that big open land. But people just keep on going. And Alberta's got a real kind of rugged individualism.
Yes.
All right, so Joe Rogan, instead of doing like this a hard-hitting interview, he just wanted to do all the Canadian cliches
Some people are
that he could think of,
but they,
which is fine, I
there's
guess.
some
But
legitimate frustrations. But at the end of the day, Canada's going to be united. And
okay,
Alberta's- I'm
how do
born-
I do this? Okay,
That's
one
so
of them.
Canadian.
so I'm sure the Alberta separatists won't be impressed with that. And it's crazy because the Alberta Conservative is like the base of support for the Conservative Party. So it's kind of awkward, this whole independence thing. And I'm not like for or against whatever, but I'm just saying that's the kind of reaction that Alberta separatists were giving Pierre. Yukon Strong says, thank you, Pierre Polyev, for the free boost to Western independence. The snide dismissal awfully familiar, isn't it? Show 'em, Alberta. Show 'em what it means to be free. So, yeah. It's going to be interesting. I don't know how strong the Alberta independence movement is. I don't live in Alberta, but I'm sure there's a few of them that are not wanting to see Alberta destroyed further the way Canada's been destroyed by these guys. Pierre, these Conservatives haven't done anything. He went on Rogan a year and a half after he should have went. He should have went before. Anyway, he said he said the reason he didn't go on Rogan during the election is because we don't leave the country during the election. I don't know. He could have done it before the election, but anyway, it's not about Rogan. It's just he's not bringing any change. He's bringing liberal with a blue color. That's what he's doing. It'll be interesting to see the by-elections in April if Carney gets his majority. It looks like Doug Ford's starting to act all prime ministerial. He's trying to he might be ready for it to take over if there's a majority in April. All right. Let's go to Iran now. That's Canada. That's like I said, nothing really earth-breaking from Pierre's. He's the same Pierre. He's not going to say anything about immigration, foreign interference, housing. He says to build more. Okay, so we'll see where that goes. We'll see how Pierre does in the following weeks. following that interview. Okay. Let's go to Iran. So we talked about gas prices. $1.65 here in Sarnia. I need gas too. I'm on empty. So the question is, how high will the gas prices go? I said yesterday, I said $2, people are going to bitch. They're going to cut back. But if it goes like $2.50, they're just going to start rioting. And people are like, oh, there's no way it'll go to $2.50, but $2.50 a liter. But who knows? Like if this is just starting, who knows how high it'll go? And it's escalating by the day, so $2.50 is not far off. But anyway, I remember seeing guys before the gas prices went up. They were like on their Facebook accounts or on their Twitter accounts saying, "Oh, I'm willing to pay higher gas prices if it means beating the mullahs and freeing the Iranian people." I was like, wow. Because it's literally it's a war tax almost. Like you're suffering the most. You're going to pay more for everything to support this war, and probably people made money on the rise in the price of gas. They probably bet on it in their financial wheelings and dealings. So I like this cartoon here, or this meme. This guy in 2026. I don't mind the price. Where is it? I don't mind the price. This is the cost of freedom. It's a mega guy saying, I'll pay. I don't mind paying for. This is the cost of freedom. No, it isn't. It's a war tax. So we'll see. We'll see when the next price change, if it goes up or down. And they, we're heading into the spring and the summer. That's when the prices go up a bit automatically because of the switch over to some ethanol blend. But if it's over $2 by summer, we're big problems. This is a good one. What's the difference between Iran and Vietnam? Trump had a plan to get out of Vietnam. It's true. It's true. He did have a plan. Bone spurs. Which is fine. I don't even blame Trump for dodging Vietnam at all. But when you act like you're sending other people in an unnecessary war, then the bone spurs kind of is more relevant. Because it's bad. Like if you did the bone spurs because you didn't want to go to the war, that's fine. But then you start a war, means you're kind of a hypocrite. Okay. So we talked about the gas field in Iran getting hit by the Israelis. Apparently they're saying now, at first they were saying the Americans, they did it together, but then the U.S. is saying, no, we didn't approve of it. And now Israel is saying, oh, yeah, we just did it without telling them, or they didn't want us to do it, or whatever. It's all confusing. But it kind of shows how this small country, Israel, size of New Jersey, is like literally controlling the U.S. in this military policy. Like blowing up gas fields is a bad. It's very serious escalation. And the way Netanyahu was talking today, he was like, oh, there'll be ground troops, there'll be this and that. Like he's in charge. And Trump literally does the following. Once Netanyahu says something, it's getting done. Trump's getting it done. Like he's sending troops. Like literally, Netanyahu said, we're going to send troops. And then a few hours later, there's reports of another group of Marines heading to Iran. So it's like Netanyahu is totally running things. That Joe Kent was right. So now Iran retaliated. They hit this Bazan refinery, the most important one in Israel. And I live in Sarnia. We have a lot of refineries here, so I can understand exactly what they're hitting. The most important refinery in Israel and on Ben Gurion Airport, so they hit the airport too, hits on the most important infrastructure Israel has. Israel is deeply vulnerable because it's small and does not have adequate backups like Iran does. So yeah, this very crucial refinery for the military and for civilian consumption. Haifa oil refinery. Okay. It's described as the backbone of Israel's energy infrastructure and one of the country's most strategically sensitive sites. So, now. So it's the country's largest refinery, supplying roughly half of Israel's gasoline and diesel. All right. So it's extent of damage not immediately clear. So they're going to reply to the Iranians, because that's how the Israelis are. They have to have the last bomb. I'm not saying that's bad. That's just how they are. So they're going to have to bomb a refinery in Iran now, and Iran will bomb. It's just going to escalate, and the energy, basically all the energy production in the Middle East could get shut down, which would be crazy. So look at that. I drive by these refineries every day in Sarnia. And, I wouldn't want missiles running into them. All right. Here's another video. And like I said, it's hard to find. It's getting called out a little more, but the AI videos, you don't want to get fooled, so I try to be careful as I can. The Haifa refinery looks like it suffered catastrophic damage. Entire train is steaming. To be honest, Israel deserves this for the South Pars field. Hate seeing civilian infrastructure projects on fire, but I'll try to strengthen my... Okay. I don't know who this guy is. I'm just reading what it says. Let's see. That doesn't sound like...
Next question.
Israeli or Hebrew, whatever the hell they taught. Maybe it was just the the Palestinian workers. So yeah, not good. This is a crazy video. This guy's in... I'll read it. It says, Israel just attempted to assassinate the great Steve Sweeney while he was reporting from southern Lebanon. Relieved to hear Steve is recovering. The terrorist regime that murdered hundreds of journalists over 2-3 years will never recover from this. I don't know. They could say he was just in the wrong place. They weren't targeting him. That's what they'll say. But it's regardless of whether they did it on purpose or not, it's a crazy video. This guy's lucky he didn't get blown up.
Further rocket attacks were reported against Nahariya and admitted.
Oh. Wow.
Fucking hell.
He knew too. He could tell right a few seconds before. He's like, and what are you gonna do? Just stand there and hope it misses you, which it did. All right. Yeah, that was pretty crazy. I got to see it one more time.
Further rocket attacks were reported against Nahariya and admitted.
All right. That's in Lebanon. So, yeah, we didn't even talk about Lebanon that's rolling too. So you got the U.S. getting ready to invade Iran. And you got Israel invading Lebanon. So, yeah. Pretty horrible. Oh. Now, here's Netanyahu, this press conference. It wasn't really a press conference. Apparently, he was in a separate location, and they were, I don't know. Who knows what's going on with this guy? Here's one of his things. Netanyahu just casually admitted on live TV that there will be a ground invasion of Iran. The airstrikes were just the beginning of a massive, devastating regional war. All right, let's see what he says.
It is often said that you can't do revolutions from the air. That is true. You can't do it only from the air. You can do a lot of things from the air, and we're doing, but there has to be a ground component as well. There are many possibilities for this ground component, and I take the liberty of not sharing with you all those possibilities.
I think that
it is often said that you can't do revolutions from the air. That is true. You can't do it only from the air. You can do a lot of things from the air, and we're doing, but there has to be a ground component as well. There are many possibilities for this ground component, and I take the liberty of not sharing with you all those possibilities.
So it's funny, the U.S. is getting ready to send people, more Marines there, and this guy's the one talking about the ground component and what has to happen. So it's kind of like, you wonder,
only from the air. You can do a lot of things from the air.
You wonder who's running the war, right? Well, you don't wonder, you know who's wondering, but it's like so weird. This guy's making the announcements. So this guy's blowing up gas fields, oil depots, totally screwing over the world economy, the global energy market, supply chain, basically everything. Farmers are even worried. They're worried about planting crops this year with fertilizer. Everything's going to be more expensive. Anyway, this guy's doing all this damage to the world, and nobody thinks, okay, like the reporters, like any other country that acted like that would be a pariah. But this guy can give this interview, like these appearances, and nobody's going to say, hey, why is this guy getting away with this, But I guess that's the way it is. So he's saying there's going to be a ground component, and look at that. Not too long after, you see stuff like this. 2nd Marine Amphibious Group is now heading to the Middle East. The USS Boxer, Comstock, and Portland, carrying the 11th Marine Expeditionary Unit, just departed the West Coast. That's 4,400 plus Marines on 2 amphibious groups converging on the Gulf simultaneously. So, this is the start. I don't know how it works. Like, I'm not like in the military, but I'm sure the Marines are like they send them in there to soften the landing area up or something and get it ready for the supply chain. I don't know. The yeah, whatever. Logistics, everything, the Marines go first. No Israeli troops. And this is another thing. This is the weirdest thing. This is what Netanyahu says. Jesus Christ has no advantage over Genghis Khan, because if you're strong enough, ruthless enough, powerful enough, evil will overcome good. When you're fighting, it's weird, like you're fighting a war. Like the whole existence of your country is threatened if you lose. And your biggest supporter is the U.S., which is mainly Christian Zionists of all people, but Christians in general. And you're trying to keep their support for this war because you need them. And this is what you choose to say is so weird. It's basically saying Jesus was a chump. Genghis Khan's the guy to go for, in to emulate. Who, it's totally evil, totally opposite of the Christian, belief system, you'd think. But, he's not, I don't think he's trying to hide it. I think he's just like, fuck it. I'm running things. It's over now. It's too late. I want to hear what he says. But it's like, of all things to say, this is what he says. It's weird. It's just weird.
Proves that
I know what he's saying. He's saying Iran is so evil that we have to be evil. But I don't think people are buying that.
very brief 100-page book in which he said
He's quoting a historian too.
that unfortunately and unhappily, Jesus Christ has no advantage over Genghis Khan. Because if you are strong enough, ruthless enough, powerful enough, evil will overcome good. Aggression will overcome moderation. So you have no choice. If you look at the world as it is today, you have to be blind not to see that the democracies led by the United States have to reassert their will to defend themselves and to oppose their enemies in time while there's still time, before the jarring gong of danger wakes them up and wakes them up too late. This is where we are now. The fact that people don't see that, the fact that a lot of the news media are harking on a lot of fake news, but also a lot of short-sightedness, and do not see the historic period and the historic struggle that we are engaged in now, doesn't obviate these truths.
So he's basically just trying to say how evil, and if we don't get our evil on, we're not going to beat Iran. It's like he's obviously getting support, trying to drum up support for this war that he started. But I don't know. I don't think it's, basically slagging Jesus, saying Jesus, he was a chump. That's not going to, I don't know. It's like they're not even trying. They say, we control you. We're not going to bother trying to hide it. There's him on the ground invasion. And here's Turkey. Turkey's right there. And I don't know exactly how what their policy is, but Israel said they want to go after Turkey next. So how long before Turkey gets involved in this war? How long before Turkey gets involved in war? Turkish foreign minister shocks everyone in Doha. The primary cause of war is Israel. Of the war is Israel. It has threatened not only our region but global stability. Like, this is, I thought it was just a Turkish MP, but this is the foreign minister. Let's see what he says. I don't speak Turkish though. Anyway, well, let's just assume the translation's correct. So, those are fighting words from Turkey. So, more countries getting sucked into this. It's not good. Here's another. Benjamin Netanyahu says airstrikes alone are not enough to create regime change in Iran, and that a ground component will now be necessary. Horrible, man. We saw yesterday too how basically Iran's like all mountains. So it's going to be crazy. So that's what I said here. Slagging Jesus and praising Genghis Khan and evil is not a great way to garner support from American Christians during an existential war that Israel started. But Netanyahu's just laughing at the goyim at this point. I think they are. I think they seem to think they can do whatever they want. blowing up gas fields, destroying like the energy market, like hurting people, just average people who can't afford groceries. Ryan Grimm says, defining remark of our era. Yeah, basically he's saying we have to be evil. Like, that's satanic, man. We have to be evil to win. That's demonic. So yeah, didn't see that one coming. It's not looking good. Not looking good. It doesn't look like it's chance of a off ramp is over. So just get ready to walk a little more, eat a little less, maybe learn how to hunt a little. Hopefully it doesn't get too far out of control. We'll find out. All right. The next, I don't even know what day it is. 1920, 23rd, March 23rd. We'll